Right now, Japan's automotive empire is facing a shockwave it never saw coming. BYD is preparing to launch a brand new electric vehicle right in Toyota's backyard with an expected price of around $17,000. On paper, it looks completely harmless, a boxy microcar with modest power and an urban-focused driving range. But do not let those small numbers fool you. Behind this tiny exterior lies a brutal, calculated engineering masterclass. BYD didn't just build a cheap EV, they explicitly engineered it to weaponize Japan's own ultra-strict, protectionist K-car regulations against the very companies those regulations were built to protect. They are beating Toyota at its own game, on its own turf, and right now, Toyota has zero direct response. Today, we're bypassing the media hype to look at the cold, hard engineering data, the battery physics, and the supply chain economics that could make this roughly $17,000 vehicle extremely difficult to stop.
Japan's secret shield. To understand why this car is such a threat, you first need to understand the wall it just climbed over. For decades, Japan's Ministry of Land, Infrastructure, Transport, and Tourism has enforced a set of brutally specific rules for what's called a K-car, a vehicle class that unlocks major tax breaks, cheaper insurance permissions, and easier parking permissions across the country. To qualify, a car cannot exceed 3.4 meters in length, 1.48 meters in width, or 2.0 meters in height. Gasoline engines are limited to 660 cc's, while most modern K-cars follow an industry-standard output ceiling of roughly 47 kilowatts, about 63 horsepower. On the surface, these look like harmless safety and urban planning regulations. In reality, they've functioned for decades as a non-tariff barrier. No global automaker builds a mainstream assembly line around dimensions this tiny, so foreign brands simply never bothered to compete here. It was a fortress that didn't need armed guards. The blueprint itself kept outsiders away. BYD didn't try to break down that wall. They studied the blueprint and built a car that fits through the front door. This isn't some existing Chinese city car with a Japanese badge slapped on it. The Racco was custom engineered from the ground up to perfectly conform to MLIT's dimensions, legally unlocking every tax incentive and ownership benefit that Japan reserves for its own domestic manufacturers. BYD used Japan's own protectionism as an entry ramp.
Weaponizing the specs. Here's where it gets interesting, because those modest projected specs aren't necessarily a limitation. They're a deliberate design choice, and there's real physics behind it. Keeping the motor output modest isn't BYD holding back technology they don't have. It's a strict engineering decision meant to control the battery's discharge rate, known as the C rate. A lower C rate means less heat generated during typical stop-and-go urban driving, and less heat means BYD could reduce the size and complexity of the thermal management system. Fewer components, less weight, dramatically lower manufacturing cost, all from one calculated decision about how hard the motor is allowed to push. Now look at the range logic. An urban-focused driving range of roughly 200 kilometers is more than enough for the way this car will actually be used. And before you dismiss that range as too short, consider the reality of how this car will actually be driven. The average urban Japanese driver covers somewhere between 20 and 40 kilometers a day. That means a single charge could realistically cover several days of real-world use. This was never designed to be a highway cruiser. It was designed to dominate the exact use case that most key car buyers actually need. And there's one more advantage gas engines simply can't replicate at this price: instant torque. Electric motors deliver maximum torque the moment they start spinning, at 0 RPM. In the tight, stop-heavy streets of Japanese cities, that means acceleration from 0 to 50 kilometers per hour feels noticeably more responsive than an equivalent gasoline key car, even with a fraction of the horsepower on paper. Supply chain warfare. Engineering cleverness alone doesn't fully explain how BYD could target a price around $17,000. The real weapon here is BYD's supply chain, and this is where Japan's own industrial structure starts working against it. Traditional Japanese automakers operate through the keiretsu system, multi-tiered, deeply interconnected networks of component suppliers. It's a system that built Japan's reputation for quality and reliability for decades, but it's also rigid. Costs stack up through layer after layer of specialized suppliers, and adapting quickly to new EV technology becomes a slow, expensive process. BYD doesn't play that game at all. The company controls close to its entire internal supply chain, from raw chemical processing to proprietary motor manufacturing to its own semiconductor design. There's no outside supplier taking a margin at every stage. That vertical integration could be the real engine behind a target price near $17,000. Nowhere is that more obvious than in the battery. The Racco uses BYD's Blade Battery architecture, built on lithium iron phosphate (LFP) chemistry, which completely avoids expensive, volatile materials like cobalt and nickel. Instead of packing individual cells into bulky module housings, BYD's thin, structural blade-like cells skip that intermediate step entirely. The result is roughly a 30% increase in volumetric energy density, which is exactly what you need to squeeze meaningful range into the tight footprint of a K-car chassis. It isn't just cheaper, it's tested to be remarkably durable and safe. These packs are rated for more than 5,000 charging cycles, and nail penetration testing has shown the cells stay thermally stable, holding between 30 and 60 degrees Celsius without igniting or smoking. On the cost side, LFP remains among the lowest-cost mainstream battery chemistries. A relatively small battery pack could therefore give BYD a substantial cost advantage and help make a roughly $17,000 target plausible.
Toyota's blind spot. So where is Toyota in all of this? The uncomfortable answer is barely present. Look at the state of Japan's domestic market in the first half of 2025. Hybrid vehicles commanded a dominant 33.8% share. Battery electric vehicles, meanwhile, accounted for only about 1.3%. For years, that gap looked like proof that Toyota's hybrid-first strategy was the correct bet. But it also meant almost nobody was defending the small, affordable, fully electric key segment, and that's precisely the door BYD just walked through. The competitive landscape makes Toyota's absence even more glaring. Nissan Sakura and Mitsubishi's EK-X pack a stronger 47-kilowatt motor and pair a 20-kilowatt-hour battery with roughly 180 kilometers of range, but they're priced up to 3.21 million yen. Honda's On-One EV offers a longer 295-kilometer range, but starts at a steep 2.699 million yen. Suzuki's EWX remains nothing more than a concept, with no confirmed pricing or specs. And Toyota? Their only entry anywhere near this space is the Pixis van, a commercial cargo vehicle, not a family passenger EV, priced at 3.146 million yen, roughly $21,000. While Toyota poured its resources into parallel hybrids and long-horizon solid-state battery research aimed at larger vehicles, the affordable everyday electric key car, the one most likely to convert everyday commuters, was left completely undefended. BYD isn't attacking Toyota head-on, they're simply occupying the space Toyota chose to ignore.
Conquering local trust. Great engineering and an aggressive price are only half the battle in Japan. The other half is trust, and that's historically been the hardest wall for any foreign brand to climb. Japanese consumers are famously loyal to domestic brands, and they care deeply about service reliability, parts availability, and resale value. BYD clearly understands this. They aren't trying to win Japan through online sales alone. The company is aggressively building out its physical presence, targeting more than 100 sales and service outlets across the country by the end of 2026.
That's a direct, deliberate move to plant roots in a market where showroom trust often matters as much as spec sheets. The engineering has already solved the entry problem. Whether BYD wins the long game now depends on something much harder to manufacture, proving to a notoriously conservative customer base that this brand will still be there to service their car, stock their parts, and hold its value 5 or 10 years from now.
Can Toyota fight back? The planned arrival of BYD's expected $17,000 KEEV isn't just a localized market entry. It's a case study in modern industrial warfare. It proves that when an EV manufacturer achieves near total vertical integration, even the most insulated protectionist regulatory barrier on the planet can be penetrated from within. Toyota's hybrid dominance protected them for a decade, but it also left a critical structural gap, and their fiercest rival just walked straight through it. So here's my call to action for you. Don't just watch the headlines. Watch the Q3 and Q4 registration data for Japan's K-car segment. If BYD captures even 5% of this fiercely loyal market, it will prove that vertically integrated EV economics can beat traditional automotive supply chains anywhere in the world, including the US and Europe. I want to know what you think. Can Toyota actually engineer a counterattack in time, or is the K-car kingdom already compromised? Drop your take in the comments below. I read every one of them, and I genuinely want to see this debate play out. And if you value deep, data-driven automotive analysis like this, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss what comes next. Because in my next video, I'm breaking down exactly how Toyota could still fight back and whether they have the time left to do it. Let's track this global market shift together.